Hello everyone, we're back inside of the Ranting Shop today. It's me, Melissa, about to review Ready to Love Season 7, Episode 3. I think it's called Ready for Smooches or something of that sort. And for this particular episode, Tommy's assignment for the women was that he wanted them to be more vulnerable, more open, and share something with the men that they've never really divulged to people. I guess as an indication that they're willing to be open. And it's the women's turn to eliminate the men. So I guess they are able to have the security that if they do divulge that information, they're not going to be sent home because of that, because they have the power. They will more or less be able to see if the men are going to be interested in them, even if they have something that may be a bit unsavory to consume. So we have a group date with Blake, Sue-Ann, Mercedes, and Marc Anthony. And from what we saw in the last episode, we definitely see that there's some kind of connection between Marc Anthony and Mercedes. Mercedes is a flight attendant. Marc Anthony is a pilot, I'm assuming. So they kind of bond on those careers because they kind of complementing each other in a sense. Also, I think they kind of look good together. So we definitely are gonna look and see what happens as a result of that connection. And then you have Sue-Ann and Blake. Whoever Blake is with, I always feel like he's really not into it. I feel like it's probably because it's like televised and cameras are all in their faces and he is not used to it. But every time he's on a date with someone, he constantly looks very awkward and almost like he doesn't want to be there, like he's faking it, but really he doesn't want to be there. So him and Sue-Ann vibe a bit, talking about code names, calling her Susu and all these kinds of things. I think as of now, Sue-Ann is probably the only woman that I've seen that is interested in Blake. I don't think anyone else is, because he has a tinge of arrogance with him, like almost as if the process is beneath him, the women are beneath him, and I don't see them liking him more. But he's definitely not gonna be the one to be sent home this episode, because I see in the previews that he's gonna be in some other drama with, I believe, Morgan. So I don't know what he does, but he's gonna be in some drama. So in other news, we have what is her name, Cynthia, my Haitian friend, and she's going out on a date with this guy, what's his name, Andre, with the curl in front of his head looking ridiculous. It seems like it's gonna be a really cool date. They're on a painting date, so let's see how that goes. So let's talk about the date with my girl Cynthia and Andre. Now, I said this before and I will repeat it. The reason why Andre was a bit turned off by Cynthia is the energy Cynthia gives off is that of a strong black woman who can take care of herself. And she kind of spoke about it again and mentioned that that is a reason why, like, there's a lot of barriers as it comes to her and her dating experience, because a lot of men sense that and they automatically go the other way. And with Andre, you could see in the previous episode that he almost went the other way. He almost dismissed her because he was quick to assume, oh, she's just gonna be hard and difficult and she's going to want to be the boss and all these things. That is precisely why he asked her, can she be in a relationship with an alpha man? Because his assumption is that she's gonna be the one that wants to take over everything. But as the time goes forward, we see that she is very aware that she puts out that type of energy to men, and she is making it extremely clear that that is not where she wants to be. She does not want to constantly be the lead. She doesn't constantly want to be the one in charge. She wants to be able to be feminine. She wants to be able to be in that very soft role and nurturing role. But the only reason why she had to be tough or has this tough persona is for now, it's only her. For now, it's only her and it's her children. And she's gonna need to be able to protect her kids. And that's how she's able to do it. So, a lot of women, that's literally their stories. So, Cynthia is speaking to a lot of strong, independent, single women who have no choice but to be tough because of a lack of a male presence. And I'm happy that at least Andre gave her a chance. Even though I believe he was still too quick to kind of judge her, but he gave her a chance. And look now, like she's becoming so vulnerable in front of his eyes, in front of our eyes, and we're able to see that she is soft and has, but I feel like every woman has the potential to be soft. It's just we need security. We need to know that when we're ready to be soft and take off the hard exterior, we need somebody to be able to be there to protect that and support that and make it so that the person feels safe to always do that. So the jury is still out on whether Andre is that person. But for Cynthia, she saw the way he kind of reciprocated that vulnerability and she liked it. So we'll see how that goes moving forward. But I think she's falling for him. I think she's doing so too quickly, in my opinion. But I feel like a lot of the time when a woman already likes a guy, because you could tell Cynthia liked Andre from the very beginning, that it's difficult for them to kind of hold off on things and wait and take things step by step. You're eager to want that person to want you back. You're eager to make it official. And I feel like what she should do is to kind of step back and still explore her other options and not make Andre the option so quickly, because this is only gonna end up in problems. You guys, can we get into Corvea and Fabrice? So they decided to do this whole outdoorsy kind of get together, and she strikes me as the kind of woman that wants to be kept. She wants to be spoiled. She wants to be catered to. And she's speaking to Fabrice about his business. And I mean, let's be serious and let's be for real. The only reason why she's so interested in his business is that Fabrice gives off the persona that he is well established, if you know what I mean. And he gives off very much wealthy in a sense. You could, like, he definitely stands out in a certain regard. And Corvea is attracted to that. And so that's why she asked specifically about his business, and he spoke about, forming the business, keeping it and selling it. And then she goes, oh, it's funny because I've been looking for somebody that has built a business and sold a business. And then she, makes it clear that it's not about the monetary aspect of it. And I really wanted to get into then what aspect of it was she particularly looking at. Was it his ability to make money, or was it his ability to grow and maintain something? Like, what is it? I was curious to know. But unfortunately, Mr. Fabrice, he kind of cut her off. And I believe a big reason as to why he cut her off was because he's made a lot of assumptions about Corvea. And so has the audience. Based on what she said, she gives off the vibe that she wants to be cared for and maintained, and she wants a particular lifestyle. And he has gotten that vibe from her as well. But I still feel as if you should have allowed her to be clear, allow her to speak. I mean, that is what communication is all about. If you are just gonna assume that somebody is one particular way, what's even the purpose of communicating with them? Because you've already formed a notion about them by yourself without their interjection. But that kind of irritated me. So basically, what he's saying is, I've met women like you talking about, oh, she's not gonna want to sweat, she's not gonna want to mess up her hair. You don't know that. You don't know that at the end of the day. So I think he was being a little too presumptuous. Like, at least give an opportunity to clarify herself to you. That kind of annoyed me. And he's like, oh, well, if I looked like you, I would be exactly like you. Pause. Again, you can't really judge solely off someone's look. At least confirm your assumption by asking questions. But I guess he thinks he knows it all. This whole conversation between Corvia and Fabrice is him assuming he knows who she is and what she's about. And that is so frustrating to see. He keeps cutting her off and he keeps making assumptions. He's not allowing her to be and say what she needs to say to, tell him about herself. This, you guys, this, ladies and gentlemen, is what not to do. It is a poor, like if you want to make a class, Communication 101, this is what you don't do to people. Cut them off and assume that you know them. Because what was even the point of going on this date if you already know who Kavya is? Granted, his observations may be right, but still, you would never be able to know for sure if that conversation doesn't take place. Anyways, let's move on to the group date between Lyndon, Morgan, Marcia, and Tony. And we see that they kind of break off a bit and you see Tony speaking with Morgan. We also know that Lyndon is interested in Morgan as well. Later on in the reviews, later on in the upcoming episodes, we see that there's gonna be some kind of love triangle all surrounding Morgan. So we'll see how that goes. I believe that Morgan has the right approach, and that's the approach all women should have. Men are always gonna see the right things. They're always gonna impress you and make you feel like they're the total package. But we know enough to know that, that's seldom the truth. So I like that she's being more cautious and liking what Tony is saying, but also understanding that she might just be one of many women that he speaks to in that way. So we'll see how that goes. But we could definitely see that Morgan has an interest in Tony. Tony scares me because he gives off smooth operator vibe, kind of similar to what I get from Andre, because they're just so easy to speak to, and they do these things with all the women, and you don't know whether you should buy it, whether you should be cautious, whether you should wait it out. But she does have the right approach. Alright, now we skipped ahead a bit because the group was talking Lyndon, Marcio, and Morgan and Tony about their vulnerabilities, and Morgan let them know that she's never been in love. Now, I know people feel as if being in love is a common thing, but it's actually really not. I think it's actually more common to interact with people who's never been in love as opposed to people who have been in love. I don't think it's as rare as people make it seem like it is, because we have this assumption that, for example, when a couple post lovey-dovey pictures, that they are in love with their partner, or when men get married to women, that they're in love with their partner, or when they have kids with a particular person, that was because they were in love with that person. I feel like a lot of the time it's not even necessarily that you're in love, it's just that you're on a high, maybe a dopamine kick, who knows. But that was not that big of a secret, but then I can understand why it gives off that vibe that, whoa, she's never been in love, my goodness, Right. So of course I didn't quite see when Lyndon and Marcia broke off and Morgan and Tony broke off. I spoke about Tony and Morgan already, but in terms of Lyndon and Marcia is saying that she's interested in Lyndon, but I don't know if she does. I don't know if I believe that much. I mean, I've seen more interest with her and with Tony than with Lyndon, but I mean, we shall see. Apparently, numbers were exchanged. He didn't call her. I don't know. His excuses is work. He is a late night person. He's not a morning person, so I guess he has to adjust. But the most awkward thing I believe that's about to happen is that Lyndon is gonna attempt to kiss Marcia, and she's gonna just stop that dead in its tracks. How embarrassing. Jeffrey and DeMario are too funny. Miss, oh, I used to ride ponies when I was a kid. She didn't know how to get the hang of those horses. Then she's like, oh, I prefer slow gallop as opposed to being like flung up and down. My goodness, that was funny. Versus DeMario, who had probably never ridden a horse in his life, doing it so effortlessly. That's pretty cool. And that just speaks to having sometimes no experience, and just the willingness to learn makes you better than somebody who's had a million years of experience, but who's, I guess, too hard programmed to adjust to a different way or a different level of things. Who knows? Anyways, what am I saying? Let's move on to Jonique. You guys, if there's one thing DeMario will do, is sweat. I understand that Miami is hot as hell, but DeMario is gonna sweat if he had to do anything, But he spoke to not having kids, and Jeffrey has 3, and he spoke of it almost like an interview, like, yeah, you'd still be good for that role because being a mom, you've learned time management skills, money management skills, and I could help you with that. It just came off very business-like. I didn't get a lot of lovey-dovey from their connection, but just a lot of, yeah, that makes sense in certain regards. So I don't know if this is gonna work. Jonique is actually quite mature, and she knows what she wants, and she's very self-aware of like her past choices and mistakes. And I just think it's a bit refreshing for me to see that aspect of Jonique. I think on first glance or on first interaction, your assumption would be that, oh, she's loud, she's ghetto, she gives me Shakana, but I think there's more to her than just that. You see, that's why it's good to get to know people as opposed to judging them immediately. She's on this date with Lyndon. Lyndon is speaking about his job, the nightlife thing. And she's the only woman I've heard thus far that is not entirely turned off or turned off at all by his lifestyle. In fact, she wants to be there with it. Like, she's with it. She's okay with it. She wants to turn up with him. It's just a matter of whether Lyndon is truly as into Jonique, as he is into Morgan or other women. And she mentioned that one of her things that she does is compare the people she's been with. Now, again, I don't think that is necessarily something that is so outrageous. I think it's natural to compare your partners. I mean, it's just natural. There's always things you're going to remember of what A did that B doesn't do, or perhaps B does that A doesn't do or didn't do. I just think it's normal. I don't necessarily think that it's... What's unhealthy is actively saying that my ex used to do this, why don't you do that? Then like verbally asking for your partner to be like an ex, I think is wrong. But just having that comparison inside of your head, I think is completely natural and normal to do. It's just a matter of how it's delivered to your partner. Like if you want the partner to do more of what your ex used to do, there's a way to convey that. I think it's all about communication at the end of it all. So the women come together and just relate their experiences within the group. And of course, Marcia talks about Lyndon's missed opportunity. This is not missed opportunity, but that terrible kissing disaster. Uh, you know, so the women are discussing who they'd like to be sent home, and I kind of agree with Marcia that DeMario gives off very, I wouldn't even call it roboticism. It's more so we don't see enough of who he is as a individual. Like I don't know him as a person, but what I do know him as is someone that's quick and easily able to, I guess, gauge other people, but I don't know anything about him. This is Cynthia is too funny. Cynthia is like Tony does a lot of like shoulder movements, but he ain't saying nothing, and that is hilarious to me. And you guys, that is the craziness of this show. It's that the men are not gonna be able to give every single woman they encounter them. They're gonna pick a few that they like and then show these women that side of them. But then that's a danger, because it's like when you do that, people like Cynthia could just say, well, he gives me nothing. People like Marcia can say, well, DeMario gives me nothing. But it's not so that they give the women nothing in general. It's just that they're not into you. That's why you don't get enough of them. And now the game aspect of this show is just more apparent. It's like you have to be fake. You have to talk to all the women. You have to put your best foot forward with all of the women so that you don't get sent home. It's crazy. Even though it's not genuine, it's almost like you have to do it, or else women are gonna have feelings like, oh, he just doesn't seem to be that interested about you. Even though you are interested, you're just not interested in them. It seems as if Lyndon is a kissing bandit. Like he's just over here trying to kiss as many women as possible. But at the end of the day, it could just be that that's the way he is able to eliminate people that just don't match him off the bat by kissing. Like a lot of people say kissing is like their ultimate telltale of who they're like interested in. Like if the kiss is awkward, then they know maybe that's not the person for them. If the kiss is natural, smooth, maybe based off that they could say, okay, maybe we could have something good going. I don't necessarily think that it's a player thing. I'm also just feel as if it's his way of eliminating certain people. Like everybody has their own process, and that's probably just his. He wants to get the kissing part out of the way so that he'd know whether he should pursue or if he should probably just move on elsewhere. Okay, so it was Blake that said to Jeffrey that she's the one he wants and he doesn't really want to be in this process anymore and any of that. Now, what I will say about it is that you listen to that and you're thinking, oh, he's this crappy guy. But I don't get that from that revelation. What I get from it is just that he's found the person he's interested in and he doesn't want to be a part of the process anymore. It could be seen as him being overly controlling, and it could also be seen as him just finding who he wants and doesn't want to go through that process anymore, which I think is reasonable. A lot of people are getting controlling vibes from Blake. I don't know. But asking her constantly when she finishes her dates and who she's going on the date with and who's her top gives me very much controlling vibe. It gives me very much, I'm just playing a game and I'm not really truly here to find anybody, or I haven't found the person that I wanted here, so let me just play the game. A lot of guys find themselves in that, kind of space. Like, I don't find my interest here, but if I have to be here and I can't quit, I might as well just play. And maybe that's just what he's doing. But I'm not gonna villainize him for it still. So now we know who the bottoms are. It's Fabrice and Blake. The thing about Fabrice is he gives off creepy vibe. He gives off a man with money that just thinks women are just here for his playthings and play toys. So Marcia wore this gown, cleavage showing everything, and he's like making it known to her that I enjoy the cleavage, and she all of a sudden is feeling uncomfortable. What I will say about this is men are very visual creatures. Now, most men would probably not say anything about the outfit other than you look nice. But Fabrice clearly is a very much direct person, or should I say, he's more direct. So he will point it out, and that would make most women feel uncomfortable. But if you're going on a date with somebody that you're not quite interested in, well, for me personally, I wouldn't show my cleavage because I know guys are visual and he's gonna stare at it. And the assumption is that you must have worn it for me. You must have worn it for this very particular reaction from me. But according to her, she wore it because she wanted to look nice. But what can I say? Like, different women, different mindsets. It is what it is. Yeah. So Fabrice doesn't see anything wrong with him constantly mentioning sex. He feels like him mentioning sex is a sign of maturity, whereas people that think him mentioning sex is a bit much is a sign of immaturity, I guess. You could see Marcia being so turned off by Fabrice's comments, like, because she's one of the ones that were extremely offended by the constant sex talk from Fabrice. The thing about it is, it makes the women feel as if that is all you came there for. You only came there for sex. You didn't come there to get to know them intimately. You didn't come there for genuine purposes. That's what it's off. That's why the women are turned off by it. Ciao. Sue-Ann is letting it all out on the table, including calling names. She's like, Jeffrey said that you don't like the process and you've already chosen her and that you're controlling. Now, the thing about it is, I like that she just said it. That's the person this information came from. But then it also defeats the purpose of a woman's lounge, because it's like the information is not supposed to be like divulged everywhere. But at the end of the day, it's a double-edged sword, because then if you're gonna say that somebody did a particular thing to you that would leave a negative perception of them to other people, then I think it's safe to defend yourself and to make those claims as clear and as to who said it as clear as possible, because then that person can address it and you could see or gauge whether it's true or not true just based on how they received the information. But he's denying it, and he's basically saying that Jeffrey lied. I can't be too mad at Fabrice's approach, because his honesty and his authenticity to himself, I mean, what can you say about it? It's either you take it or you don't take it. It's either you like it or you don't like it. What it did was allow these women to determine whether they were receptive to it or not. And if they're not receptive to it, then he knows that that's just not his set of people. It's not necessarily a rejection. It's just more so a redirection of what he wants, and it's just not in these group of women. So Blake sees another episode. I mean, he's just hard to get rid of, I guess. You would assume that he'd be kicked off immediately, but he keeps coming back episode after episode. And I already told you guys, it's because Blake is the type of guy that's gonna bring drama, and the show needs drama. So we see Corvea going to confront Suan about her conversation with Blake and whatever. Somebody's lying, and you're inclined to believe that Blake is the one being untruthful, but the jury is still out on that. It looks like next episode is going to be too late. What I will say is I do apologize for the tardy doing of this review. I apologize, but it was a great episode. I enjoyed it. What do you think about Fabrice being sent home? Are you happy he was sent home? Do you feel like Blake should have been sent home instead, or do you feel like there should have been a double elimination and both men should have been sent home? Let me know in the comment section. Also, let me know, do you believe Jeffrey and her claims about Blake, or do you think that she is lying? Also, let me know in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and see you guys next time for another review from me, Melissa, in the Ranting Shop. Bye bye.